What better way to ring in Star Wars Day than with the Bad Batch? May the 4th be with you. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving my spoiler review / breakdown for episode 1 of The Bad Batch, the new Star Wars Disney Plus animated show that is a spin-off of Star Wars The Clone Wars. So if you have not seen The Bad Batch episode 1, definitely go watch it, then come back here so you don't get spoilers. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Right off the bat, I want to say I absolutely loved this episode. It was 70 minutes, so going in, I knew it was going to be longer. It flowed like a feature film perfectly. There were no pacing issues on my end, and I was totally locked in from the start. It actually opens with the Clone Wars logo, and I was like, oh, what are we doing here? And then it burns into the Bad Batch logo. What a sick way to introduce the show. And then it said Aftermath. So we see this clone battalion, and there's a Jedi Master, and it's all going down, and I'm like, okay, the Bad Batch is going to pull up soon. But before we even really get into the meat of the episode, the first 5 minutes, we see Kanan Jarrus. It's Freddie Prinze Jr. coming back to do the voice work, and I was like, shook. I was genuinely shook at this moment. I didn't expect him to show up in the show, and we see his master die, obviously, as Order 66 commences really quickly into this episode. I was shook with how great this opening was. We don't see the Bad Batch react to Order 66. Crosshair's the only one who's tweaking a little bit, and we find out later in the episode that his inhibitor chip is still kind of acting up, but not really, and he says, good soldiers follow orders. A nice little callback to the Clone Wars. And it was great to see Kanan, because in Rebels, we'd only heard about what happened with his master, but actually seeing it adds a complete new element to that character of Kanan Jarrus. So from there, it's obviously hard for the Bad Batch to adapt to this new way of life almost, because every other reg, as they call them, or regular clone, their minds have basically been brainwashed as the inhibitor chips and Order 66 has been enacted. So we've got the Bad Batch running around, and they're like trying to act normal and fit in a way just because they don't want to give away that they're not really following orders. They go back to Kamino, and then Tarkin shows up and he wants to run a series of tests on them, very similar to the ARC Troopers episode where you go through a battle simulator. But before this, we actually find out that Crosshair reported the fact that Hunter didn't hunt down and kill Caleb Doom / Kanan Jarrus, and this kind of creates some tension among the group. Crosshair is super sus to me. What do you guys think of Crosshair? Let me know down below. We obviously see later in the episode that he gets his inhibitor chip enhanced so that he's fully working for the Empire at the time. He gets a new suit that looks pretty sick, but he's pretty much a villain to start out of the gate. It's sad. I hope they can win him over later, because I really did like Crosshair going into this, but now he's a villain. It's really sad to see. We obviously see the character of Omega introduced in this as well, and at first I was like not really sure. I didn't really have any predictions for who she was, and then I was like, maybe she's a Fett because she kind of has that dialect of Jango and Boba, but you know, I'm not really sure even at this point. But I do know we find out that she's one of the enhanced. Nala Se actually reveals to Tarkin that there's 5 enhanced clones, and there's only 4 truthfully in the Bad Batch, because Echo was a regular clone at once. So we found out later that Omega is the other enhanced clone. What is her ability? I'm thinking she can read minds, because there's multiple times where she is foreshadowed. There's a point where the Bad Batch is assigned to go to Onderon, kind of like a test of Tarkin, mainly so Tarkin can spy on them. But we see Omega warns the Bad Batch, and this is hinting at the fact that she can probably read minds. That's what I'm guessing her ability is. We see again later, after the Bad Batch is captured and they're back in the Kamino in prison, we see her finish the sentence of another character, and she's even reading the mind of Crosshair, like, whatever you're going to do, don't do it. So I have a feeling that she can just read minds. That's what I'm rolling with. I like her character quite a bit. She has another dynamic. She's like a heart and soul to the Bad Batch in a way. I love Star Wars The Clone Wars, as you guys know, but I always enjoyed like the Umbara arc and the rookies / ARC Trooper episodes, like episodes that focus on the clones. So that's why I truly dug this show, is we get to see another side of the clones fully fleshed out. They have their own show. They're at the forefront, unlike a lot of the times in Star Wars The Clone Wars. It tied in beautifully with Revenge of the Sith. We see all the clones in a big room, and Palpatine is doing the voiceover for Revenge of the Sith, where he's like,
the attempt on my life has left me scarred.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire.
the First Galactic Empire. I can't do a Palpatine impression, but it's a great callback to Revenge of the Sith, which again, I have to give credit to Filoni for tying in all of these animated shows to the canon live-action movies. You're killing it, dude. We also get to see Saw Gerrera in this episode as the Bad Batch goes to Onderon, and we see this confliction within them as they think they're just going to kill droids, and then it finds out there's actually humans there, and Crosshair's like, we gotta, good soldiers follow orders, we gotta do what we gotta do. But then they're actually captured by the band of rebels, and Saw Gerrera gives a great line. He says, as time changes, targets change. It's a great line. It's like saying, the Empire is going to try and manipulate and do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if it's just a droid, it could be humans. And that's what that really talked about there. And that's the moment where I was like, okay, we see who's good and we see that clear delineation of good versus evil as Crosshair is on the fence. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, he later gets his inhibitor chip enhanced, so he is full on evil. The Bad Batch goes back to Kamino. They get captured. They're imprisoned. Their plan was to go get Omega. Turns out Omega's in the jail cell with them as she is already captured. And then we get some great moments where, Wrecker breaks them out of the cell, all that jazz. But during this is when Crosshair goes and gets taken prisoner, gets his upgrade, if you will. He's now a villain. He's after the Bad Batch. That's how the episode ends. Crosshair's on their tail, so he's coming after him, and I hope that they get him back and can maybe take the inhibitor chip out. And maybe we'll see that in the next few episodes. I don't know if that will be a big reveal for the end. It's great to note how damn good the score is in this. It sounded like something out of Falcon and Winter Soldier when it comes to building suspense. There's a sequence where they're breaking out of prison and like they go and get their suit and they go get their armor back. And there's a standoff scene where Hunter and Crosshair are like super far apart, and you've got clones versus Bad Batch, and they're just looking at each other, and the score there and the tension. Massive props to Dave Filoni. I mean, the guy's a mastermind when it comes to this animated Star Wars work. So then there's this really great showdown. Of course, the Bad Batch gets away at the last second. Wrecker takes a little bit of damage, and then once they're up in the air, they realize it's not going to be easy for us to just go do our own thing, as Crosshair's kind of on our tail. So we need to go find a friend. I know someone in the J-19 sector. Rex? Are you going to see Captain Rex? I mean, they have a few buddies left, they say, not many. They're about to go to hyperspace, and we get a great moment with Omega where the hyperspace is reflecting off her eyes as she's really seeing the world for the first time because she's been locked away basically on Kamino her whole life, from what I can assume. It's really just heartfelt. We get this family vibe, almost like Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm excited to see this family bond grow in the Bad Batch as the show progresses. Hopefully there's not too much heartbreak. I hope they don't kill anyone. What a great way to open the Bad Batch. I mean, happy Star Wars Day. What a great celebration of just Star Wars and the animated Star Wars in particular. If you guys haven't seen the Clone Wars for whatever reason and you watched the Bad Batch for the first time, I hope this show inspired you to go watch Clone Wars, maybe even Rebels, because you got to give these animated shows a shot. I grew up with Clone Wars. I recently gave Rebels a shot, and it's totally worth it. They add a lot to the current canon lore, especially the live action lore, and moving forward on Disney Plus, I think they're going to be a necessity. Cannot wait for Friday. We only have to wait 3 days for the next episode, so hallelujah for that. But thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of the first episode of the Bad Batch, the 70-minute premiere? Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Overall, like I said, it flew by, no pacing issues on my end, added a lot to the lore, gave us fan service, but it's also cool to see this new unique take on what clone life is like post Order 66. So overall, a fantastic episode of TV. Star Wars is back, baby, and I could not be happier. Thank you all for watching. Definitely subscribe if you have not, and hit the notification bell so don't miss out on any future videos. I've got a ton of Star Wars content planned. Watch parties aren't going anywhere. I'll be back Friday for another Bad Batch episode 2 watch party and review. But thank you all for watching, and may the 4th be with you.